Okay, this is going to be a quick and dirty, no bullshit review of Canon C200. Now I'm going to start with the concerns that some people have, and most of them really circle around the fact that the screen that I'm going to rotate down is not visible in bright sunlight. Now you can increase the brightness of the screen by 99 points. Like if you ever used Canon C100, this is the exact same screen with the touch screen functionality added to it. But this is one of those screens that you don't want to touch, even though it's a touch screen, because yes, smudge, it does attract smudge. Now, you can increase the brightness to 99. I'm not going to do it right now because it took me 13 seconds. Yeah, it took me so long that in fact I had actually measured. Can you see it in the sunlight? Yes, you can. Is this a perfect screen or a screen that's going to be better than your cell phone screen? It won't. It's acceptable, but not super type of screen. So if you have something better, you're definitely going to use that. For my purposes, it's good enough. That's what it is. Now, moving on. Some people complain that this bracket shaky or there's a little bit of a free play. Yes, there is. If you're carrying this handheld, then the screen has a little bit of a free play here. Now, some people complain that you can accidentally format an SD card, which is total nonsense, at the menu where you can format an SD card. So, initialize media, okay? You go here, that's click number 1. Then you have to select media, that's click number 2. Then you have to choose between complete or quick format, that's click number 3. And then click number 4 will finally format the media card, but you see the default option is cancel. So if you need to test somebody for being a complete moron, you can ask them to accidentally format an SD card on this unit. It's just not going to happen. Okay, autofocus. Now, autofocus, the way that I would use it is, I have a whole bunch of settings here, and there's a gentleman from Hong Kong who did a very thorough review of what these settings are and whatnot. I would approach it as you have a scene and you configure your autofocus and you use the autofocus for that particular scene. You know, so far for an interview, there's one setting. For a subject moving inside of a frame, which is what I do a lot, there's second setting. If you're running and gunning around, there's the third setting. If you're shooting cars, there's this fourth setting, etc, etc, etc. So there's like a mix and match of settings that you can do, and the autofocus is going to help you out. Now, is it going to be perfect? No, it won't. Sometimes you will notice, you know, you're losing a little bit of autofocus, but the camcorder is not going to go through a full range of focusing things if you configure it properly. If you don't, then it is a possibility. From my experience, you know, like if people have reservations about the touch screen, so the joke was a touch screen that you don't want to touch, and that is correct. From my experience of using prosumer camcorders from Canon, is you're not going to be using touch screen to focus all the time. Maybe there's going to be a shooting environment or a shooting particular situation when you will take advantage of the feature, but you know, same thing. You come in, you set it up, you do your thing, and then hopefully you have some time to clean up the screen because it's a dirt magnet like there's no tomorrow. Okay. Now I'm going to go through controls and what has improved since Canon C100. Okay. Actually, one last note. Some people said that, you know, if they're using a screen in such a fashion, you know, like if they're using touch screen functionality on a screen, then it shakes the camera. Yes, it does, because it creates a lot of torque. Like, look where the screen is. It does create a lot of torque. So to be able to rectify this issue, what you want to do is you want to put a screen in this way, you know, so it rests right here, a bracket. So when you touch the screen this way, in this position, there's going to be less shake in the camera because A, it's centered, B, it has a support. So let me switch over to controls. Now, iris control, auto iris, had been moved here, which I think is a good thing, you know, like at least you don't have to reprogram it from here. So it was here on C100, it got moved here. There's no extra button here, okay? This is very convenient. Now, because it comes as a standalone unit, C200B, it has to have all the buttons that were on the handle on the body. So one of that button that got duplicated is the iris ring control. Now, I have mixed feelings about it. Obviously, there's like shape to it right here to prevent from accidentally changing the iris. That also prevents it from easily changing it. So, you know, I had to kind of get used to how to adjust iris from here. Brief jump into the handle. Now on C100, this guy made a lot of noise. If I had a shotgun mic here and I was changing my iris using this control, the actual shotgun was able to pick it up. They changed the guy here, so it makes a bit of sound, but not as much sound or not as much noise as before. So definitely an improvement here. People talk about that this became more of a standard thing, so I don't need to mention it. All controls here are in duplicate on the body. So this can be removed and you're still going to have access to all the functionality of the body. Now, one important difference is that this handle on C100, it used to have this bracket that would hold the strap. It used to be that if you remove the handle, you no longer can attach this because the handle would have this bracket here. So now the bracket had been moved to the body. One thing that surprised me is that the white balance, which was moved here, you know, to a smaller inconspicuous space, it performed reasonably well in the shadow. It gets you close to where you want to be, and then you can easily adjust it in post. For a run and gun situation, I was actually pleasantly surprised by the performance of white balance. Now, image review had been moved from the back to here, and all the other functionality as in rewind, fast forward, play and whatnot had been assigned to the nipple. So a lot easier to review your images from the camera, which is a plus. Now at the back, there's no screen here compared to C100, which is better because now I can comfortably raise this up and rest this portion of the camera against my body without thinking that, oh my God, I'm going to scratch the screen or I'm going to scratch the back of the screen, which is good. The audio controls to the body, convenient. One thing that I was surprised by the audio controls is that it came in auto, and I was actually surprised by how well the auto gain thing works. Didn't clip, didn't boost a lot of white noise, so it was pretty good. There is a cautionary note about the noise though, and I'll get into it. Battery is from C300, now 2 hours on 4K, so it's going to run 4K. When you record 4K, it's going to run for 2 hours. If you're recording HD, it's going to last for about 2 hours and 45 minutes. That's what the battery indicator on the screen showed me, and I didn't bother verifying that. I just don't like draining the batteries. Not good for the batteries. I'm not going to go into details about this because it's self-explanatory. One thing I will mention though, the exhaust fan. It is at the same location as on C100, but it is bigger. The reason for that, I think, is 4K recording, and on a hot day outside, even right now, there's a noticeable stream of air coming out and noticeable sound or noise generated. Now, when you're recording 4K, it's going to work even harder. I'm sure there's a setting to decrease the fan speed, but that's not that I'm comfortable doing, so it is what it is. It's bigger. The intake has a heatsink built into it, so this part of the camera is definitely bigger, and I think 4K and the associated heat generated and the heat that is generated with 4K recording, that's the reason why this body is bigger. Why am I emphasizing this? This camera was designed to be used handheld, so like this. Now, since there's warm air coming out, if you go and spend some time thinking about where can it come out, you're going to find that top or bottom, you're blocking shoulder rigs or whatnot, or you're blocking components. If you want the hot air to come out from this angle, it's going to blow in the operator's hand, which is uncomfortable. So on C100, the fan was smaller and this was not really noticeable. It was working there, but who cares? On this guy, there's noticeable noise and noticeable heat stream, which is a perk in Canada 9 months out of the year. You can warm your hands up. But in any case, if you're planning to put it on a shoulder rig, then the hot air from here will be coming to your face, and the fan is quite annoying. So keep that in mind and explore solutions. If you can put the camera further somehow, or if you can use the other side. I think it is possible to reconfigure it so that you're not having it on this shoulder, but you're having it on this shoulder, and that way you solve this exhaust fan problem. The second thing about exhaust fan is that camera has a mic input here, mic input, and you can plug in 3.5 millimeter jack in it. And I've seen people using this cold shoe on C100 to sort of put in their Rode mic. Now, I've used my lens hopper just for kicks, and I put it here. So it was like sitting here, and it picked up the noise coming out from the exhaust fan. So something to keep in mind, if you're in a room that is quiet, you're going to hear the fan working, you're going to hear the lens working. If you have pro gear, that's okay, but you're not going to be able to get away with some semi-entry level stuff. If you're planning to taking this off and putting a basic bro mic here, it's going to be distracted by the exhaust fan. Okay, what else? The weight, okay, yes, it is heavier than C100. If you compare them side by side, meaning you have C100 in one hand and C200 in one hand and C100 in the other, then of course you're going to notice the weight difference. Does it matter? No, after a couple of days, you're just not going to notice the weight difference. It's minimal and insignificant, and your muscles and body is definitely going to adjust for that very, very quickly. The handle here, like it has nice finish coating. It looks cool and it feels good in the hand. I feel better holding this than I did holding C100. Is that a big deal? No, it's not. Now, if you are planning to use this camera as in selfie modes or vlogging modes, then you can configure or turn the screen in such a way that you're going to be able to see yourself to a reasonable degree. Okay, so that's my basic bro box and a basic bro quick and dirty setup out there. You're going to be able to see yourself. Mind you, you're not going to be able to perfectly level out the screen because the cable here is going to get in the way. One of the solutions for that is to get another bracket and move this guy to the bottom right here. The shotgun mic actually had been redesigned. It says 19-20 millimeters. It actually can hold my shotgun mic. Previously, whatever Canon did, it wasn't capable of doing that. I always had to work around this. Right now, I can actually put in my shotgun mic here, and it has vibration absorbance. You can also put this bracket here on the body so that you don't need to have this bracket. Now, closing the loop on brightness. The camera does have these lights here, and they are going to be indicating whether the camera is recording or not. Right now it's recording, so the light is red. Gotta tell you, if you're standing in bright sunlight, very hard to tell whether this is red or not. You have to cover it and create a shadow. So I have it. If you want me to confirm something or to check something, write in comments and I'll reply. And or if the video is required, then I'm going to do the video.